Do you ever have a thought sneak in and instantly you turn on yourself? You start judging the thought, you start judging yourself and being critical. And it's what is wrong with me? Why did I think that? I shouldn't think that. Thought is just a thought, though. It, every thought that you have, it doesn't mean it's who you are. It's not your identity. It doesn't say what your intentions were, or it doesn't indicate your character or who you are at all. It doesn't define you. Thoughts are just thoughts. I think of them as a mashup of our ego, our experiences, the way we see the world, and our mind just trying to make sense of what's going on. And a lot of times it's making sense of a feeling that we have, a feeling, and then what's going on around us, and our ego and our experiences, and it mashes them together. And these thoughts just sneak in. That's kind of how I look at them, see them. So I'm not defined by my thoughts. They don't control me. I try my best not to let them control me. If a thought comes in and you can overcome it, you can work through it, you can recognize that, okay, this isn't me. It's just a thought. It's just a random thought. If you can control that and overcome it, that's a strength, because we don't always get to choose the thoughts that sneak up on us. But what we do get to choose is what we do with the thought. And that's the most important part, is what do you do with a thought that comes in? That's more who you are, your character, it's your actions. Because a thought's a thought, and if you just let it, what we're going to talk about, if you can recognize it and become aware of it and notice it and let it pass and not let it take over, that's really strong. But if you have to act on a thought and you let your thoughts control you, that's where they take over. And when they take over, it's usually because we fight them. So it might be a thought comes in and we get shameful. Why did I think that? That was wrong of me. I'm such an idiot. What's wrong with me? Those self-critical thoughts and judgment in relation to what we think about the thought we just thought is that's how they strengthen. That's how they stick with us, and they will take over. It happens often where a thought creeps in, and if I don't catch it, and all of a sudden 30 minutes later I'm in this whole story in my head, and my mood's changed, my whole vibe has changed, and it sucks because it was just a thought. And a lot of times the story I've created isn't, I know it's not real. It's not happening. It's more of a worry, a what if, and then one thing leads to another. One thought leads to another. How many times have you got a thought in your head, or a thought crept in, and all of a sudden it leads to another thought and another worry and another what if, and goes on and on and on until we've created this idea that this person doesn't like us, they did it intentionally, they were out to get us, whatever, the stories that we tell ourselves. That all comes from this random thought that snuck in. But it's the fight with that thought that makes them louder. The intrusive thoughts, the what ifs, the overthinking loops, the impulsive thoughts. All those, when we focus on them and we fight them, it makes them stronger and louder and repeat. And there's a thing where, in general, if a thought comes in, if you spend time on that thought, entertaining it, more thoughts like it will come in. So whether it's good or bad, negative or positive thought, if a negative thought comes in and you start thinking about it and letting it start spreading and taking control, how that happens is that another thought comes in on top of it, and another one and another one. And that's where the stories come from. And then the mood shifts and it takes over. So, what do we do instead? If you can just acknowledge the thought, notice it, recognize what's going on, that's going to calm it because it takes the grip off, it loosens the grip. And I mentioned this in the last episode with our feelings and resisting or fighting against our feelings. When we can acknowledge them, it's not agreeing with it. Just because you acknowledge it, because you notice it, because you're like, okay, this is what's happening right now. This is the feeling I'm having. This is the thought that's in my head. When you recognize it and just notice it, that doesn't mean you agree with it. You don't have to think it's right. You don't have to think it's fair. You don't have to agree with it at all. But by just accepting it and acknowledging it, calms it down. It relaxes the grip and the control. It stops it from taking over your complete day and mind and mood and vibe and create this whole drawn out story that's most of the time not even true. Think of some examples. A friend is hanging out with or talking about another friend. You get a little pinch of jealousy, and then you immediately judge it and think, oh, this is my friend. Like, that's not a big deal. Why am I getting all weird about it? That judgment, then it starts creating more judgment and it just becomes a loop. Or I also mentioned this example in the last episode of when I went to my therapist and I told her about a time when I was getting annoyed by someone, and it was about not wanting to be somebody that was getting annoyed. That too. Like, the fact that I was fighting it kept it alive, gave it momentum, gave it power. But if I could have just, okay, I am annoyed, acknowledged it, admitted it, took accountability for it, it dissipates the control. It's like, okay, now what? Or what about overthinking a text and going to, oh, they must hate me, or they don't like me anymore, or I did something wrong. All of those things. It's that one little thought comes in and we oftentimes just let it take over. So what do we do instead? We accept it. We acknowledge it. We just notice it. Accept that you feel that way or that thought came through. Okay, there's a thought. And when you can do that, when you can accept it and acknowledge it and just notice it, it gives you freedom because it lets the grip, the control, the power that thought can have, you stop it because you're not fighting it. If somebody siblings do this all the time. They know what annoys you, and so they'll intentionally do that. But if you don't get annoyed by it, you're like you don't show your annoyance, they stop because they're not getting what they're after. I think it's the same thing with our thoughts. A thought comes in, and if we don't fight it, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's just sizzles out and dies because we're not fighting against it. We're just accepting it. Okay, not agreeing with it, just accepting it. Okay, that was a thought. That was a random thought, or that was an unnecessary thought, and move on. Don't stick with it. Don't focus on it. Don't keep thinking about it because that's where it adds another thought and another thought and another thought similar to that one. And then when you're judging it, they're all judgment thoughts. When you're critical about it, they're all critical thoughts. And then that creates the story. Here's a tool to try next time a thought creeps in and you instantly go to judging it and churning on yourself. Name, normalize, navigate. So name it. Okay, that was a thought. That was an odd thought. Where'd that thought come from? Or that was a crazy thought. Or that's random. Normalize. It's just a thought. It doesn't define me. It's just a thought. It's about what I do with it. Letting yourself know. It's just being that friend to yourself. Like, hey, it was just a thought. And then navigate it. What are you going to do with it? What do I want to do with this? How do I want to handle this thought? It's about what you do with that thought. The thought itself does not define you. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's what you do with it. That's the important part. What are you going to do with that thought? Are you going to just notice it, acknowledge it, accept it, and then let it go? Or are you going to act on it and build on it and let it ruin your mood and let it ruin your day? No, just let it pass. Unless there's some action, some positive action that you can do on it, but it's the overthinking it and not doing anything with it. That's the problem. Either let it pass or do something productive with it. And I'm just going to end with this. We can't always control the thought that creeps in, because sometimes they are creepers, sometimes they come out of nowhere, and we can't always control that. But we can always control what we do with it. Are you going to acknowledge it, notice it, recognize it, name it, normalize it, and then decide, what am I going to do with this? Is there something to do productive with this? Or am I going to let it pass? Hold on to my control, my power, stop it from taking over, stop it from building into something that we don't want, stop it from ruining your mood, stop it from ruining the day, your vibe, creating something out of one thought that does not define you. It's not about the thought that comes in. It's about what you do with it. Okay, till next time.